Let's go ahead and get started. Thank you so much, Jim, for taking the time. Um, my name is Nehal Bau. I'm CTO, co-founder at Prosimo. Um, just a little bit about our journey so far. We got started about 2 years back, myself and my co-founder, Ramesh Prabhakaran, CEO. We were part of the Viptela, our previous startup that was acquired by Cisco. In 2017, we connected as part of that journey, and during that journey, I led engineering there. Ramesh led all of the go-to-market and product management side of things. And then when we got into Cisco, we continued to lead those functions. And during that journey, we realized that there is more burning problems to solve and exciting journey ahead. So we kind of got out of Cisco, um, and decided to start Prosimo. Um, so with
Okay.
that, we have been in stealth mode for 2 years. We have had seed round and Series A round, about 25 million in funding from tier one investors, General Catalyst and WRIV Capital. And let's talk a little bit about what we are set out to do and what we are solving.
Okay, great.
Um, so we talked about the team. Here, the founding team of Viptela, Ramesh, myself, and a couple of other co-founders, and the pedigree of other team members is also you can see from the logos and things like that. We talked about the investors. We have been humbled by a bunch of customers who have deployed our products and given us a lot of endorsements and things like that. And we would be happy to provide those testimonials. We are not really gotten legal permission to do public references yet, but we can certainly provide a lot of testimonials and things like that here.
Okay. Okay.
Now, what do we do? So as you know, being in the industry, the applications, enterprises are moving their applications to the cloud. And then these applications vary from a gambit of old monolith applications to super modern service mesh, Kubernetes type applications to databases in between, and also virtual desktop type applications like Citrix VDI and so on, and then developer type applications as well. So the application spectrum is varied, and all of that is moving to the cloud, and different clouds that too. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have users who are becoming more and more fragmented and coming from all over the place. And especially in this COVID world, folks are not only just working from the offices, but their homes, coffee shops, and from all over the place. So both sides are sort of moving in different directions and becoming more distributed. As this happens, and the applications, and if you focus on the applications, when the applications move to the cloud, there are a couple of problems that arise, right? How do you connect enterprise users to those applications, and how do you connect the applications, other applications, to these applications that are moving to the cloud in a
Okay.
secure and optimal manner? So that's the crux of the problem that we are solving. Now let me give you a quick
Mhm.
example of one of our customers who is deploying our solution, a large financial services company. So they decided to take a couple of their important applications and decided that they are going to move that to Microsoft Azure cloud in a couple of regions. Now, when they started that journey, they quickly realized that it just doesn't end there by moving taking that application and doing a lift and shift into Azure. They need to worry about thousands of their users connecting to those applications, and also they realize that those applications kind of talk back to certain applications that are still in the data centers, and then they are also talking to applications that are residing in other clouds which they have already migrated to, say, AWS or GCP and things like that. So the applications had its tentacles all over the place. So when they started solving this, they quickly had to launch like 7 or 8 different initiatives within the company to be able to address not only the security, but performance and visibility and all these different angles. So if you
Yeah.
quickly uh, think through that, when you want to connect those users and apps to these applications that have migrated, you have to worry about multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, all these different regions and edge locations and whatnot. You also have to worry about the security aspect of things, which is extremely important. So some of the customers tend to take the more traditional approach of traditional VPNs and whatnot, and also some of the modern ones tend to go towards the modern technologies like zero trust and whatnot. And then obviously the policy control and authentication and authorization, and then from behavior based policies and stuff like that. And then the other important one is, how do you provide the application experience that is needed? How do you provide CDN type functionality? How do you provide multi-cloud connectivity while leveraging the modern constructs that the AWS and Azures of the world are providing in transit gateways and global accelerator and vWAN and things like that.
Okay.
So, and then on top of all of this, you want visibility and visibility and observability into your users and apps talking to those applications. So when you put all these things together, the stacks, the different stacks that you technology stacks that you need to solve this problem becomes quite complex and quite disparate. So that's where
Okay.
we come in.
Can I ask you one question first?
Yes, please. Sure.
And
Yeah.
and that is, given your background with Viptela, then your starting point is actually in a, I guess, a post SD-WAN world, right?
Absolutely. SD-WAN solved certain challenges, and that was needed, and it let us give the control back to the enterprises from the service provider, while allowing them to use different transports and all that. But the journey doesn't end there. Now that the applications are more moving into the cloud and the users are all over the place, you need a uniform model of connectivity and security and application experience. So how do I make sure all my remote users as well as the branch users connect to my applications with a single software architecture stack, and also get an optimal experience? It doesn't matter where they are at, and then doesn't matter where the applications are. And the applications can be modern applications or monolith and whatnot. So we are building an infrastructure for the cloud, and for these trends that we are seeing out
So,
there.
so are you building on top of SD-WAN, or are you sort of rethinking SD-WAN and
So you can think of it as we can be a layer on top of SD-WAN, or we can, I mean, folks can look at it differently. It's an evolution from SD-WAN, or you can have your SD-WAN in there, and then we can come in as a layer on top, and then you can quickly realize that the value that we provide and things like that gives you a much uniform experience. So long story short, we can coexist with SD-WAN, or we can kind of be standalone and provide the same value that we are looking for the
okay,
enterprise.
okay,
So as you can imagine, when with this customer example, the solution to this problem can be very complex when you try to put different stacks together, and that's when we come in. And if you look at the architecture before and after, it gets greatly simplified. So in short, what we are building is, take two spectrums here, right? Two end of the spectrum. Take user identity and take application endpoints. Now, how do I take these two and build an infrastructure in the middle for the cloud, which lets you not only connect these user identity to these application endpoint while providing multi-cloud connectivity, leveraging the um, public cloud providers, modern backbones that they are investing heavily into, while providing secure access using concepts like zero trust and web application firewall and authorization, authentication techniques, and user behavior based policies and things like that on the security side of things. And also, last but not the least, is the application experience on top. So you can't take security only and then bolt on application experience on top. They have to be thought through and go hand in hand. So we platform would provide private CDN type functionality also, and providing optimal paths through the cloud backbones.
Okay.
So, and on top of all of that, as we talked about, visibility and observability is extremely important to the enterprises. So, the layer at which we operate from a segment of one user identity to application endpoint, it lets us provide enterprises with usability, visibility, as well as troubleshooting capabilities on top of this platform.
So
And with all of that on top, we use all of the rich telemetry that we gather, and then use that to make data driven decisions for optimization, which optimization techniques to deploy depending on the type of the application, and what kind of security measures we can do automatically in the platform depending on the user patterns and application patterns and such like. I'll stop there for your.
yeah, yeah. So would you describe this as a new control plane then that is sitting above everything?
Yeah, so think of it as we will go to the how we solve the problem and what are the architectural pieces of the solution. But I would say it is a control plane, data plane, and orchestration plane, and on top analytics and visibility as well built into one.
Okay.
Um, that in short. But as we go through the couple of next slides, it'll become very clear on how we achieve this. So in this, we took it upon ourselves to not only solve the problem with one architecture, software, and simple stack, but we focus quite a bit on the Prosimo SLA and outcomes that we provide for the customers. So if you look at these four aspects of things, we improve the application experience quite a bit. You can see those numbers, while reducing the attack surface on the security side of things for the application access, and reducing the cost, and reducing the time it takes for this to deploy. So we focus quite a bit on the outcome, and the reason we are able to do that is because the way we collect all of the telemetry and then use that telemetry to deploy our ML algorithms and whatnot, and use data-driven analytics to provide sort of a feedback loop to the customers, and show them the value that, hey, here is what Prosimo is helping you in, and also use that feedback loop to efficiently manage the infrastructure that is built by Prosimo.
Okay. So I take it what you're trying to do is find the nearest cloud gateway then to the user rather than directing them back to their corporate WAN, which might be on the East Coast.
Absolutely. That's one aspect of it, certainly. So I would say if you look at different aspects of the solution, there is security, there is multi-cloud networking and optimization, there is visibility aspect of things and things, right? So the thing that you touched upon is one of the aspects of our optimization techniques, where how do I how do I minimize that last mile and get you onto the cloud backbone in the efficient manner by getting you onboarded onto the Prosimo fast lane, and then kind of ride the cloud backbone and get to the application in a fast manner. So that is one of the techniques that we use in our gambit of the application optimization techniques.
Okay.
Certainly.
Okay.
Moving on, how we do this, right? So the first, let's talk about what the customers who have deployed this and doing trials love about it, right? So it's a single stack single software architecture, single solution for users to apps in the cloud, any kind of app, any cloud, any sort of region, and also not just the users to the app, but app to app as well. So same solution working for both user to app and app to app for any kind of app. And similarly, the other differentiating factor and the differentiation that we have that the customers love is the data plane element that you just talked about earlier. So the solution gets deployed in their customers administrative control and customers cloud account. So we are not boiling the ocean. We are leveraging the big three cloud providers. Day one, we started off with the support for 500 plus edge locations, 100 plus regions across all the three major clouds. So leveraging that cloud footprint and providing the solution in the customer's administrative control and customers' cloud accounts, while focusing on the outcomes that we talked about using the data-driven analytics and feedback loop and such like, and then providing that seamless, secure, and optimal application experience. Now, on the left side of the picture that you see, those are the two high-level elements of the solution that we provide. Think of Air Engine as sort of the brains of the solution, sort of the control plane, orchestration plane of the solution, where it's a multi-tenant dashboard, come intelligent routing engine, come intelligent ML engine, and sort. And that using that, the customers, enterprise customers will get a slice of that dashboard. They can go in, manage their infrastructure that is provided by the Prosimo solution, and then be able to spin up these XC edges. XC edges are software elements that get spun up in the customer's cloud accounts, and any region, any cloud, any edge location, and such like. And then it depends on, so think of it as a customer when they did the trial, um, or deployment, they brought on an application behind Prosimo, or onboarded onto the Prosimo infrastructure. And then the Prosimo infrastructure automatically spins up edges that front end the application. And then as the users start accessing these applications, these axis edges can be spun up manually or dynamically closer to the user. So the content stays closer to the user, as well as you can do that onboarding closer to the user location onto the cloud. So think of these XC edges creating sort of a fabric mesh in the cloud, in the customer's account, and on the per application need by need basis.
Okay.
And
so,
yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, here we go. Here's the picture. So
yeah, this is what the picture would look like. Eventual picture look like. All those Prosimo circles are sort of the XC edges deployed all across the globe, across all regions and clouds. And then on top, there is an Air Engine sitting, controlling all these elements. And then all of these are spun up on demand, spin up, spin down on demand, scale up, scale down based on the usage patterns towards that applications and whatnot. So it's heavily catered towards what all functionality and things get enabled on those edges is sort of controlled by the Prosimo Air Engine. And then the two big elements I want to hit on here is the experience delivery, the optimization techniques that we talked about, including private CDN, multi-cloud networking, how do you get onboarded to the cloud fast, and various compression techniques and such like, and also the security elements of things, zero trust, WAF elements, how do we use the telemetry to create speed bumps for risky users and stuff like that. So all of these things are sort of implemented by these XC edges across the globe and controlled by the Air Engine at the top.
Okay, so the XD, those optimal paths that are going um, between those are uh, kind of your virtual private network, the
Yeah.
Proximo private network.
So yeah, so think of it as a fabric being formed by all of these XC edges, and those are sort of the data plane elements, so to speak. And these are, you can think of it as Kubernetes clusters which can expand and shrink based on the need of the hour, and while keeping the costs down. And then the important differentiation I want to highlight here is, don't think of these XC edges as we have stayed away from all of the IPs and subnet and port and all of that complexity. Think of it as at a layer above. So we can focus on the outcomes based on user identity and app endpoints, because now the apps are becoming fragmented. App is not just one IP address, no longer an IP address, right? It is a bunch of URL endpoints. So when something goes down, one URL endpoint goes down, you want the customers to be able to know, hey, here is my service down for that application. And you can only achieve that when you operate at a certain layer from layer 4 to 7. Now, the layer 3 problem has been solved really well by all of the cloud providers. They have built fast backbones and whatnot. And then that L3 multi-cloud connectivity problem is not interesting to a lot of customers anymore, because that has been solved by each cloud provider. Now,
Yeah.
where we wanted to solve the problem, at the layer at which we wanted to solve the problem while providing optimization, security, and visibility, we felt that this is the right layer to solve the problem.
So does the AXI engine run in just one of the cloud providers or per
No,
customer?
so the
Yeah.
Prosimo Air engine is sort of hosted by us. Think of it as a multi-tenant engine that is hosted by us, but customers getting a slice in there to be able to manage this whole XC Edges infrastructure that is across the globe. And the XC Edges are implemented or deployed, so to speak, in any cloud, any region, and on even edges or on-prem.
Does it ever occur that the traffic from one cloud provider may transit the long haul backbone of another one then?
Absolutely. So it depends on what you are trying to do. The application can be in, say, Azure, a certain region, but the users that are coming on and accessing the application can be much closer to an AWS region, where I can bring in the traffic closer to a region or an edge location of AWS. Then the Prosimo Air Engine will intelligently bring all those users onto AWS region, and then take them to Azure closest region, and then take them to the application. Or and you get flexibility if you are sensitive about the performance for those applications. You can you can deploy all these techniques. But if you certainly are not worried about certain set of applications, we can they can control that. I don't want to hop the clouds, I just want to stay in that cloud, and then provide the same experience. So users get that flexibility of multi-cloud versus single cloud, but
Yeah.
it works seamlessly.
Is there a business case to do this? I mean, is there a cost advantage? It would seem like if you were hopping between clouds like that, you might end up paying more.
Absolutely. So we kind of provide sort of three different lanes for this application experience: cost optimized, performance optimized, and fast lane. There are certain applications that are that enterprises care about in terms of the experience. They are really critical applications. In that case, they are not too sensitive about the cost. So that is sort of the fast lane. So we can leverage all of the modern cloud provider constructs like the Azure vWAN Hub or Transit Gateway, Global Accelerator, and all of those things seamlessly underneath. All they need to tell us is, hey, this is fast lane. I want fast lane for my application. Or I want performance optimized. In that case, we can kind of do certain CDN type capabilities, but be a little more cost sensitive to those sort of applications and providing that experience. And then there is another one which is cost optimized, where, hey, these applications, I don't care about the experience, just give me the security layer, just give me the visibility that I can control my users and app to app experiences without too much worrying about too much about the application experience. So we can provide all of these things to the user as controls on a per app basis.
Okay. Okay. How about on the security front then? You're going between these different clouds.
Yeah, absolutely. So think of it as a segment of one, a user identity accessing an application endpoint,
Mhm.
and we provide integration with all of the IDPs, authentication, authorization, using rich policy language and whatnot. You can control a user, say, for example, has been accessing this particular application from San Jose mostly, and then suddenly 1 hour later he shows up in New York and accessing that application. So we can certainly flag that and put a speed bump right there automatically, and block that user, or force an MFA, multi-factor authentication for that user based on what you have and what the customer has configured. So think of that, some of the zero trust principles, also web application firewall, DDoS type protection. So we provide sort of 5 security gates before a user can access an application, and then you can tweak how much control that you want at each gate. So think of this as on the left hand side bottom picture that you can see, WAF policies, zero trust, and data-driven behavior-based policies also. So
Okay.
think of those aspects when we talk about policies.
So one more question on the security. On your previous slide, I think you had something about reducing the attack surface substantially, but it seems that you might be increasing your attack surface here.
Yeah, so think of it as this is a segment of one, right? So
Mhm.
think of user going to the application. So the user has to pass the authentication, authorization, and all of those gates,
Mhm.
and the traffic is always encrypted, um, uh, depending on the application. And also think of it as, so if we contrast this model to a VPN or an SD-WAN type model, think of it as VPN model, where folks used to let users or contractors do the VPN into the VPN concentrator and then put a whole bunch of firewalls, rules, and whatnot to kind of block. So you come into my door, and then I will do some firewall ruling and all that to kind of block your access to certain applications and whatnot, right? Now, that is a much complex security model, and it has been proven with the newer trends and all that, is that model is sort of broken from the security point of view, which is why you need this modern zero trust based security, and that provides, think of it as a VPN, or uh, VPN for a segment of one, right? User identity to app endpoint, and nobody comes in the middle. So although we are jumping the clouds, we are the ones terminating the sessions that are required based on decrypting the traffic based on all the certificates that they have downloaded onto Prosimo edges and stuff like that. So this is rock solid security from that point of view, and which is why we can claim the attack surface reduction.
Okay. Okay. At what sense, at what scale does this start to make a business sense? I guess in terms of the size of the organization or the distributed nature of it. I mean, here you have a global map, and so maybe the business case is stronger the further apart your edges are, or the more distributed your enterprise is.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Yeah. So certainly, we are targeting large enterprise customers. Not to say that the solution is built for small as well as large scale customers, but the problem is more acute when the enterprises, a lot of these large enterprises have more than hundreds of applications, more than hundreds of thousands of users and things like that, and which is when the users are all over the place, applications are in all kinds of places, and that's when this starts to make sense at a larger scale also. And also, um, a solution can work for smaller customers as well. It depends on what you want, and then you can kind of tweak and tune the value that we provide in the solution.
Okay. Could you talk a little bit about resiliency and whether, how important that is to the business case in doing it? And I'm thinking here, we've seen multiple instances where a cloud provider loses a region for, several hours or something of that nature.
Yep, absolutely. So we have so think of these Prosimo edges making a fabric of sorts, right? XE edges are sort of making a fabric, and then there is an air engine sitting on top, and also we have we what we call as our health check network also running. So we have sort of in all regions and edges we have simulation elements running and making sure all of these XE edges are sort of running in all the regions and stuff like that. So constant health check is happening 24/7. And the moment something goes down, there is intelligent routing done by that Prosimo air engine, and within a split milliseconds, it will divert all of the application traffic to certain other Prosimo XE edges, and minimize any sort of disruption. And then the resiliency and redundancy are built in. I mean that's what we built really well at Viptela as well. So we kind of know how to do that, I would say. But here we have done it at a different layer, and for cloud and for the modern architecture. And also all of these XE edges are built as microservices architecture. So any service goes down and comes up, things get spun up automatically, health checks going on everywhere.
Okay.
So it is built day one from that architecture concept kept in mind.
Okay. Great. Um, how far along are you guys? Is this in testing? Is it in beta?
Yeah, so we have over a dozen deployed paying customers, and then I guess double that size number for who are doing pilots and proof of concepts and things like that. So we certainly have a lot of deployments already, and a bunch more in the works.
Okay. I don't know. Are there more slides that you have here to present, or I
Yeah,
have?
so I mean, couple of just wanted to quickly touch on some important use cases. I won't touch on every use case here, but we talked about this. How do you, for an app, how do you modernize your cloud infrastructure for an app to app use case also, not just the user to app? Also work from anywhere use case, that's extremely important. So we are not trying to boil the ocean, so to speak. We are trying to latch on to the important 3 4 use cases to start with for the enterprise customers, and then sort of then expand our motion from there. And also importantly, the app experience for problematic apps, right? Not I mean, to say the least. So there and for any kind of applications in any cloud. So just wanted to quickly touch on those use cases.
Okay. All right. Great. Um,
Yeah,
so
that, yeah, please.
just two more quick questions, and they're both on I guess, the competitive landscape.
For sure.
So the first one would be, how you would differentiate yourself from another managed SD-WAN provider, one that's coming perhaps from a large telco or a global telco that is, SD-WAN service up and running and expanding into SASE.
Yeah, so SASE looks at, so like we talked about SD-WAN a little bit. We can operate with SD-WAN or standalone. SD-WAN solved a certain set of problems, but this is sort of an evolution of that technology, I would say. For the modern trends where the users become distributed and the apps become fragmented and become multi-cloud and hybrid cloud, you need to have a new thinking, new way of thinking and providing an infrastructure solution which addresses not just the security aspect of things, app experience aspect of things, but also the visibility. So all of these things need to be thought through ground up, and we look at it from the application focus. So we have optimized our solution for all these different sort of applications anywhere, and then we think application out as opposed to SASE thinks users out type approach. So I would say that's the mind shift that we are striving towards. So this is heavily optimized for lift and shift applications moving to the cloud, as well as the applications that are born in the cloud. So it
Okay.
is application out, and whatever it takes to optimize and secure that experience from users to the applications, or applications to the application, I would say. And then this is single software architecture, whereas if you have SD-WAN and then other technologies mixed in, you have different software architectures. You need SD-WAN from, say, Viptela to connect your branches, and then you have some remote users coming over VPN and terminating on VPN concentrator and all of that. All of that goes away here. This is single uniform architecture to connect this user identity again back to the application endpoint.
Okay. All right, great. And then the last question also on the
Yeah.
competitive landscape is
No,
how you differentiate from, I guess, another startup in this space that you probably know, Alkira.
so think of it as the problem that we are solving intersect various different aspect of things, right? So if you talk about the security layer of things, there is Palo Altos and Zscalers of the world. Then if you talk about the app experience of the optimization angle that you talk about, there is Akamai and F5 and those kind of guys. And then if you talk about the multi-cloud vendors, those are solving the problem at layer three. We talked about this. The Aviatrix and Alkiras of the world are the multi-cloud vendors. Now we looked at this problem holistically. Look at where the intelligence is, right? Where is the user identity and the application endpoint? And all of the things in the middle has to be extremely simple, and it's means to an end. So it has to be really simple, providing all of these values out there. So I would say our solution cuts across all of these guys who are providing pointed solution and trying to solve app experience or security or multi-cloud connectivity. We have all of this built in day one. And like I said, right, just going back to your Alkira or the multi-cloud specific question, that is solving the problem at a different layer. When you solve it at a layer three layer, all you can get visibility into is you are building the pipes across the clouds. All you can get visibility into is which applications are being accessed and which IPs and which ports I'm talking about. You cannot know that, hey, this is the user, this is the policy I can enforce. Hey, this user coming at this time from this location, I want him to be able to access and all of that. So you lose a lot of these capabilities that you can provide from the security angle. Also, you can lose a lot of capabilities on the HTTP layer, optimizations, compressions, caching, CDN type of capabilities, and all of that when you solve the problem at layer three. So this is what we learned through the Viptela journey as well, that there is a need to solve this problem at a different layer, and only then you can provide all of these four aspects of the solution and solve it in a manner which gives you all of these values that we talked about.